Hey everyone, Jim Coventry from RotoWire here, just setting a couple platforms to make sure I get on Insta for those who want to be there as well. Got you guys on YouTube, got you guys on Twitter. We are going to definitely talk some playoff football today. Very excited with the first game yesterday between the Raiders and the Bengals. Very close game. We love that. 13 playoff games. There's very few of them, and we love when we have a great game. Unfortunately, the second game, not great. Basically, the Bills, scored on every drive other than the kneel down. So that was a little bit of a bad game. I hate bad playoff games because then it's a lost game out of those 13 opportunities that we have. In any case, we move to Sunday. And so we're excited about the Sunday games. Welcome those who are on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We're going to break down today's games. If you have questions, go ahead and ask them while on that specific game if possible. Can help you with gambling ideas, prop bet ideas. Look, on the props, I can always give you the rationale and whether they come through. Like yesterday, we had some real good processes, and the game, funny shape ball. Things go weird sometimes. The Raiders decided they weren't going to put a focus on Jamar Chase, so he went off, and T. Higgins didn't do anything. Can't predict that, right? We try our best. Kavan, good to see you, man. You are very welcome. You won a championship. Yes, very, very happy. So, yes, refs got to go. I have no horse in the race, like ever. I love all 32 teams. And when that play happened, I was the only one. I was going nuts. I'm like, there's a whistle. What's going on? I didn't see the Raiders complain. I didn't see anything happen. The announcers didn't say anything. And I'm like, wait a minute, there was a whistle. The play can't happen. And then nothing was said. So I figured, well, maybe I'm crazy, which I am crazy, but I didn't get it. And then they come back 10 minutes later and they're like, oh, this couldn't happen. I'm like, well, I could have told you that. Again, having no horse in the race, I'm always objective with these things. I'm not going for the Raiders. I'm not going for the Bengals. I just want good football. Jag Mittal, hey, good to see you, Jaggy Mittal. Yes. So anyway, that's the case. It was very frustrating. We want good officiating, and we want them to fix an obvious mistake when they can, but they didn't. And it's fine. Like, at least one of the people said, at least there was a chance that the Raiders had happened early, so they had a chance to take advantage of that. But it was real frustrating. But again, as an NFL fan, I have no horse in the race. So let's see who else. We got some comments here. BC won a fantasy championship. Yes, very, very happy for you. You're very welcome. Any help I can give makes me happy. And yes, millions of dollars on replay, and they won't use it. They'll address it next year, but that doesn't help us yesterday, right? MJ Cran got Miles Sanders too risky with the cast today. They haven't been using him in the receiving game a whole lot. And so honestly, I think his projection really doesn't change. If they're putting him out there with the cast, that's basically telling me that he can carry the ball and be fine. And with the regular way you hold the football, realistically, if you've got it pinned properly, I think he's okay. So I think Miles Sanders has the same risk he would have had he not had the wrist. The cast, I should say. Randy, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Let's see what we got here. I see you. Listen to me on demand. Yes, you listen to the on demand, the SXM show. Yeah, we had a good breakdown. Mario and I really broke the heck down of these games here, so that's good. And Julia, good to see you as well. And yeah, Cowboys Niners. So let me do the early game first, and I'm going to get to Cowboys 49ers. I'll get questions after breaking the games down a little bit. So. Look, this Eagles Buccaneers, the line has been moving. This thing a couple days ago was 9.5. It was 7 when I checked about an hour ago. And so first at 9.5, I did like Philly at 9.5. And then when it got lower, I'm like, well, at this point now, the Bucs look, they probably can win that there. So fantasy football guy, I will get to that comment. Brady's Achilles heel. No, it shouldn't be rain. That according to NFL weather. Now it might be on TV. I'm not watching TV. NFL weather has 0% chance in the first half, 13 to 17% in the second half. Unless you see something on TV that's contradicting that right now, that weather moved out of the forecast. But again, it's weather forecast, right? Winds should be 15 to 18 mile an hour. So let's break this game down. Eagles with the ball. First of all, the Eagles haven't beaten any teams of note this year. And so that's a little bit concerning. They've had a good schedule, favorable schedule. They've taken advantage of it. They made great adjustments, which we'll talk about in a minute. But otherwise, it's been one of those things where they haven't beaten a good team. But here's what they did. So through the first 6 weeks of the season, through the meeting with Tampa Bay they were a pass-first team. Jalen Hurts was out of the shotgun. That was their offense. It was 11 personnel, meaning 3 receivers, 1 running back, and Hurts out of the gun. On their bye week, they reimagined their offense. They must have had this discussion. Look, we've got a dominant offensive line who can run block and they can pass block, and we've got a mobile quarterback. So here's what they did. What they did was they went with a lot of 2 tight end, 12 personnel sets, and 13. They went a lot. They were one of the heaviest usage of 13 personnel in the league. But here's how they leveraged that to their advantage. They used Jalen Hurts as opposed to in the shotgun. They put him under center. And when they did that, they used him as an option type quarterback. It manipulates numbers in the run game. Defenses are ill-equipped. The modern defenses, they are set up for the passing game. But when you have a great offensive line and numbers in the running game, and you add that mobile quarterback, all of a sudden you notice Miles Sanders, yards per carry, through the roof. Jordan Howard was getting big yards per carry. And even Boston Scott. It works. It was a beautifully designed system to take advantage of their personnel and the defenses that they would face throughout. Even the Bucs, we'll talk about the Bucs today. We know the Bucs have always been a very, very good run defense. Not quite the same this year. They're not playing at that same level. Their linebacker play has been problematic. Levante David is supposed to be back today. If he is back and he's playing his game, he corrects a lot of ills in the run game. And Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea are going to have a really strong game. You see, the center, Jason Kelce, he's very good as a pulling center. He sets up some angles in the run game and go on the outside. If Vea can get in his face and overpower him quickly, that takes away some of that mobility they have when they pull their linemen out. They need to get that going. I still think Tampa knows this is a run-first team. They specifically game plan this week for that. And so I think they're going to come in. They're going to have some answers, but this is still an elite rushing attack. Now, one other thing. Like a couple comments. I'll go. Now, Julie, I've got yours too. BC, Bucs aren't going to play around here. Brady have a very crappy game or a 320, but yeah, feast or famine, right? Julia, you like Eagles. You said -4.5. Do you think so? Do you think the Eagles are going to win? The Eagles are getting, right now, they're getting 7. So that would be a great, you'd make a ton of money on that if you bet that. Devin White's very fast. He's still undisciplined. He still can be manipulated out of position. Impressive player, but he really hasn't overall helped their defense the way we thought he would. Bucs run D. Yeah, Patriots. See, here's the difference. Mac Jones, not an option mobile quarterback. Also, Isaiah Wynn, left tackle, out for the Patriots. Now, we go to the day's game. I talked about the line, completely different line. Healthy line, mobile line, athletic line, significantly better. They're both graded high, but the Eagles line is significantly more versatile. And having that option quarterback is huge. All right, one more thing. Eagles. The Eagles have an excellent pass rush, one of the best pass rushes in the league. They don't blitz. That's the problem. And I'll get to that. I'm going to get to the Bucs side. So actually, let me table that. I'll get to the Bucs side. So let's get back to the Eagles side. We talked about the running game. The running game shouldn't be quite as crazy successful as they've been, but they will have some success. However, if they fall behind in this game and they have to throw the ball, they will be at a disadvantage, which takes me to the passing game. The strength of the Buccaneers pass defense is the perimeter. They give up a lot of production in the middle of the field. Now, Sean Murphy-Bunting is out. They were hoping to get him back. Jamel Dean is in, which definitely helps. That's a huge point for them. So you can attack in the middle of the field the Bucs defense, the pass defense. However, Jalen Hurts has thrown less than 50 passes in the middle of the field over the season. He loves throwing to the outside. That's where he's most effective. His strength plays to the strength of the Bucs defense. That's not good. The other problem, if the Bucs get out to a lead here, Todd Bowles will turn up the dial on the blitz. We know he's going to blitz anyway, but he is going to turn the dial up and it's going to be very problematic because some of those running lanes, they're not quite going to be there because the blitzes are going to occupy the offensive linemen. They're not going to be multiple in their rushing attack. Julia, Patriots offensive line is not better than the Eagles line. No, it's a very, very different line. The Patriots can maul you. They use a fullback. That's part of their run pack. Their run packages are completely different. The Eagles line is based on athleticism and strength. They're a much more versatile line. They can do way more things than the Patriots line. The Patriots use play design to set up their line to be better than the sum of their parts. The Eagles legitimately have 4 ace linemen. And that's the big difference there. It's a massive difference, and they leverage them into what they're doing well. All right. Talk about BC48. This is on Insta using Minshew. Yeah, I think he would struggle with the Todd Bowles blitzes. This would not be the best matchup for Minshew if he got in there. All right, so I think I covered the Eagles offense. So they need to keep this game close. That is really important for them because they can stay in their offense. If they fall behind, they can't. All right, let's move to the Buck side of the ball. Now, I know we had a question here. So Julie had a comment about the Eagles pass rush. So I was saying this earlier. The Eagles blitz very little, but they get pressure with their front 4. Now, Randy brings up an important inactive. Josh Sweat is out. That's a big hit. Even if Sweat was in, see, the Bucs offensive line, they are also one of the best in the league. Their interior line is amazing, but they're also good on the edges. Wirfs he was great as a rookie. He even ramped that up this year. So what we have here is the Bucs don't blitz. Therefore, their regular front 4, they are not likely to have consistent success against this Buccaneers front line. That's a problem. And because if they blitz, they're screwed too. So this is not a good matchup for the Philly defense. Now, where is the Philly defense the weakest? The linebacker play. Very, very much a struggling unit in the middle of the field. We'll get to the Dallas Goedert point in a minute, BC 248. Yep, good question. So, middle of the field is very weak. And I'll come back to Goddard. I already covered the Eagles, but I'll be happy to talk. But you know what? I will cover individual players because I think we need that for DFS and for prop betting. We definitely need that. All right. So the Patriots likely plan this out. Tom Brady doesn't have Antonio Brown. He doesn't have Chris Godwin. He still attacks the middle of the field. This is a big mismatch game for Gronk. Now, Mike Evans, some people are worried about Darius Slay. Mike Evans is 6'5", 231. Darius Slay's a phenomenal corner. But at some point, when you've got 6'5", 231 and he's an elite player, you take away a lot of edges. You know, you can't out-physical Mike Evans. And it's not like speed is his thing anyway, right? So he's going to get things rolling here. Fantasy football guy, you know what? I need to come back. I will come back to the Eagles because they could spy Hurts. We'll talk about that. All right, so Brady will use the short area. Now, Leonard Fournette was cleared to play. This is important because part of the linebacker issue the Eagles have is you could kill them in the screen game. Leonard Fournette was literally seeing 6 to 8 catches or targets in games before he went out. So that was a big deal. They're going to continue to pound with the screen game. Gronk in the short area. Tyler Johnson hasn't been good. He had that goose egg, but other than that, he's getting like 4 catches a game. I don't expect a lot of yardage, so it could come there, but I think he's going to get targets against this overmatched linebacker group. Mike Evans will get his. Again, the rain, if it's changed, but I just checked NFL weather. I said this earlier. The rain is mostly out of the forecast now. First half, it says 0. Second half, it's like 13 to 15%. So thank you, fantasy football guy. I appreciate that. So that's what we're looking at here now. So I think they attack heavy, running back, middle of the field, and they can even get success in the run game because their offensive line is so good. So let's talk about individual players now. Jalen Hurts, he's going to run for yardage. There are going to be points in this game where he has to put the offense on his back because the outside receivers are probably going to find themselves covered. He's not going to have those openings. So he is going to run for yardage. So I think it's his prop that was over 49.5, and I did bet that one. The running backs. This depends on game script. If the Bucs get out to a big lead, they're going to have to largely abandon their rushing attack, which is overall going to be a net negative for the Eagles because the Eagles can't afford to be a primary pass team, especially against this Bucs defense. Dallas Goedert, in theory, is a good play. The matchup is neither good nor bad. It's middling. It's a middling matchup. And we think tight end, we think middle. Well, it's funny when you watch the games, they're getting him just slightly to or outside the hash marks. And so they're utilizing him there. You think tight end's straight on, but they've used him a little differently. They've used him to Jalen Hurts' strengths. Again, I love the coaching staff. They've done a phenomenal job of what they have. So Dallas Goedert, I do think the Bucs have a good chance of getting a lead. So I think that they will get success throwing to Dallas Goedert because they're outside receivers. Hey, Devontae Smith will be a star, but Jamel Dean will, when he's on it, will probably have an answer for him. The blitz will have an answer for that. And they don't throw downfield a lot. Again, if the blitz comes, it's going to be problematic. So I think they're running backs. I think Miles Sanders is the best play because Jordan Howard, he's done well, but this isn't the best matchup for him because he likes to run up the middle. That's Ndamukong Suh, and that's Vita Vea. So that's not a good matchup. But Miles Sanders has the ability to break off a run, get to the outside, utilize the option quarterback. So he has a chance to score, but it would have to be from longer distance because at the goal line, they do pull him out, especially with his hand injury. I think he gets you 60 yards. I don't see, unless he gets one long run, I just don't see him going off here. Devontae Smith, he doesn't get a lot of targets just because of the nature of the offense. And again, if they trail, they're not going to be the high-quality targets. It's the strength of the defense, not where Hurts throws. So this gets me a little bit nervous here. I think this could be a game where the Eagles don't score a lot of points. Now, when you're handicapping the Bucs side for props. So Brady is going to be efficient here. There'll be a couple of shots downfield, maybe to Evans. But I think this is mostly a surgical attack. I think they're going to get the ball, they'll run it, they're going to screen it, they're going to throw it over the middle. Tom Brady is happy taking what's given to him, and that will be given to him. That middle of the field will be open. So I think they're just going to take advantage, be very methodical. Brady will put up numbers over time. Again, here was a problem. Last year, after their bye week and down the stretch, they had that magical run to the Super Bowl. They finally started implementing play action. Heavy play action. It made it so much easier. This year, they're like second least in the league. They totally blew it. They went away from it. In the playoffs, do they come back to it? I would think it would be foolish if they didn't, but they didn't. They haven't used it this year. Last year, at least they had those signs going into the playoffs. If they use play action, Brady's even more lethal than he is, but I can't count on that because they haven't shown us that. So, but Brady has a really safe floor, and he does have ceiling because they can move. However, remember this. When the Patriots I keep calling the Patriots. This is Brady. I'm sorry, and I apologize in advance for that. I just can't get Brady and Patriots off, so it's the Buccaneers. I'm sorry, but obviously. So the thing is, when Arians gets the lead, they take their foot off the gas. So I like the first half over a 13.5 for the Bucs. I'm going to say the Patriots again, Brady. So that's what I like because they're going to get points early, but they may just throttle it down late. And other players in it, so I get Gronk. I love the over on the yardage. I think he's going to have a very, very strong game. He's had good matchups where they haven't used him. I think this matchup being a playoff game, I think they can't really go away from him. I mean, everything can happen. We understand it. Leonard Fournette, they put his receiving prop at 6. They put it up high. It's a high prop. I think he hits that, but I wouldn't bet it because it's too high because there's a lot of scenarios where, he gets 4. So if they set that prop lower, but the prop set properly, so I can't really overbet it. So I don't like that. Touchdown scorers in this game, I love Gronk to score. The advantage in the middle of the field is there. I like Mike Evans to have a chance to score, especially when they get in the red zone. Darius Slay, he's not dealing with 6'5", 231. And with no Brown and with no Godwin, he becomes more of a primary target with Gronk. Leonard Fournette, good chance to score. Eagles side's tough to call. I don't know how many touchdowns they're scoring, and honestly, it's hard to say who's going to get them. I'd be more on the other side. We got to get to a couple other games here, right? Julia, let's see. Yep, Bucks. Yep, agreed on that. And let's see what else. I don't know how much Gio's going to play. They activated him from IR. I don't know what his conditioning is. I know his game shape is right now. That makes me a little nervous. Gio Bernard tends to come in when they're trailing. He's a hurry-up back. Sometimes we mix up the receiving back and the hurry-up back. Gio's the hurry-up back. Whereas Fournette, they're not tipping their play when he's on the field. When Gio Bernard's on the field, they're passing. When Leonard Fournette's on the field, defenses have no idea. So that's an idea there. Bucks, let's see. So actually, Bruce Arians will tell you they're a 12 personnel, 2 tight end team. They're not. They play less 3 receiver sets than other teams, but they play over now percentage in front of me. It's like 63, 64%. They're in 11, 3 receivers. They play 12 more than some teams, but they don't live in it. So they are a passing team. So that's a good question. All right, Perryman could get a deep shot at any point. A play action, a deep shot. They don't use play action enough. If they do, that's there. Volatile. You're hoping for one big play. Let's see here. Go there, and let's see here. Fournette should have been. He should be active. Let me check the RotoWire thing. He's got to be active because that would have been a big report. Let me just double check here. This is important. So let's go to the RotoWire site here. Yeah, sorry about this. But I'm gonna look this up. And I'll check up the depth chart on RotoWire. But yeah, that would have been breaking news, I think. But let's just check, Randy. It's a good point. All right. Yeah. You know, you might be right. Randy, you're right. Oh, that's not good. They didn't. Good call, Randy. They did not activate Fournette. So if you had a bet on Fournette, don't worry about it. It disappears because he's not playing. Randy, thank you for that. So, wow. Well, it's going to be more short passing then. Keyshawn Vaughn's going to catch some passes. I think he's going to be more the lead back here. Great catch on that. He's going to be more the lead back here, but I wouldn't put a lot of stock in what he does. I think that's going to force them to be more of a throwing team here. So, wow, that should have been breaking news. That should have been all over last night. Again, thanks, Randy. All right, let's quickly get to these other games. I know you guys want to watch this one in 20 minutes, so let's get to the other games here. All right. Again, I like the first half over for the Bucks for 13.5. I love that. I think that's a great bet there. You know what? I like Tom Brady under 1.5 rushing yards. Bruce Arians basically yelled at him. He said, stop running. Brady lately has been running. He's had double-digit yard runs, 10-yard run, 12-yard run. He's not happy. Arians is not happy at all with that. And he doesn't want his quarterback hurt. And I think Brady's got to get that. And there's a good chance of kneel downs at the end. So I love Brady under 1.5 rushing yards. Gronk over 55.5 yards. I said earlier, Jalen Hurts over 49. 49ers Cowboys. Everybody wants to hear about this game. Let's talk about it. So first of all, 3.5 is the spread now. It was 3 almost all week. You can get the 49ers plus 3.5 here. Contrasting styles. Both of these teams can create mismatches for the other. Let's start with the 49ers side of the ball. So first of all, Dallas's strength is their pass rush and their pass defense, especially the perimeter, just like the Bucks, right? 49ers, though, they don't attack that way. So first of all, the 49ers get the ball in their receivers' hands at or behind the line of scrimmage. They get them into space quickly. They don't typically run outside routes where they're attacking cornerbacks. They attack the teeth of the defense, but they leverage it with the way they set up the players. Rub routes, screens. They just get the ball in this playmaker's hands. So Dallas's biggest strength is taken away, and also the pass rush, because they get the ball out quickly. They max protect the times. Their offensive line is very good, but they keep their situations from having a lot of third and long, second and long. They are very efficient. Dallas is a speedy defense. They overplay. They over pursue. This is tailor-made for Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan uses a fullback. He'll use an additional tight end at times. But what they do is they get the defense moving in one direction, and they use misdirection to come back, whether that's a screen, jet sweep motion, whether it's Elijah Mitchell running a zone run. It's a big advantage to the 49ers here. So basically, Deebo Samuel is just a wild card here too, because you see, you can't put your top corner on him, because if you do, they just motion him in the backfield. He's a running back now. You just lost your cornerback. You're screwed. You have no chance. So the way they use Deebo is brilliant. So here's what I expect to happen here. I think Elijah Mitchell is going to be a very, very productive back today, because Dallas is not going to have the answer. Middle linebacker Keanu Neal is out of this one. So that hurts the defense as well, right in the middle of it. So I think Mitchell is going to have a very good running game here. In the pass game, like we talked about, same as the Eagles game. Jimmy G is better throwing in the middle. I know he throws picks in the middle too. He's much better in the middle of the field than he is in the perimeters. You don't want to attack Dallas on the perimeter. George Kittle. Now, Dallas is very good against tight ends when you detach them from the formation, when they're slot receivers like Darren Waller. Dallas is not the same defense when you put your tight end in line as a blocker. Like I talked about with Deebo Samuel. You put him as a running back, your corner's screwed now. Well, it's the same with George Kittle. Kittle's a blocker, one of the best blocking tight ends we'll see. And he has to be treated that way. But they know how to get him out into a route. I think that Dallas defense being softer in that middle, Kittle's in for a big game here. They have to target him, of course, and we don't. Kyle Shanahan sleeps on it sometimes, but I think going in, he knows this is a massive mismatch for him. So I love Kittle on the over on the yardage here. And like Elijah Mitchell on the rushing yardage. Deebo's a tough call. Deebo can have a big play at any time, a big game at any time. I just don't know exactly how they're going to deploy him, and it makes it tough. I expect he'll have a fine game. No reason to think he won't, but it's one of those matchups where I don't know where it's coming from. And so I just hesitate in DFS. Oh, in regular, playoff fantasy leagues, he's fine. He's fine. But they set his numbers for the props up a little bit higher for Deebo, and that makes it tough. So anyway, I think that's where the advantages are. And Dallas, one more weakness. They're the worst team in the league in yardage after the catch. And what do the 49ers specialize in? Yardage after the catch. Like I said, Deebo, Kittle. So this is very important. So I think the advantages are there. So the 49ers, they are in good shape here. But so is Dallas. Let's flip to the other side of the ball. The Dallas side. So Dallas has a very good offensive line, but they're not the line they were. There are holes that there weren't there in the past. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking. So I don't think they have the edge in the running game they have against a lot of teams. So what you're going to see here is the 49ers have been nasty against the run. Their front seven has been bringing it. The front four has been dominant. And I do think they're going to be fine against the Dallas line here. They're not going to overwhelm the Dallas line, but the Dallas line, here's the point. The Dallas line isn't going to overwhelm the defensive front. That's the difference. They use Elliott a lot, and I love Zeke Elliott, but Zeke Elliott just hasn't been what he was. And they're not going to make Tony Pollard the lead back. They're not going to put Zeke into a secondary role. It's just not going to happen. Could I be wrong? Yes. I don't see it happening. So the pass game. Now we understand 49ers have a good pass rush as well. But the Dallas line, I think they hold up better in pass pro than they do in the run game. I think they're okay in pass pro. Now, where can you attack the 49ers? The 49ers are the worst team in the league on deep passes. Worst DVOA of 16 yards or longer passes. They're fourth on short passes. Now, here's where we have a situation. Mike McCarthy, I hope, stayed out of the game planning this week. I hope he stayed out of it. And hope let Kellen Moore do his job, because McCarthy made the mistake of making Dallas much too horizontal on offense. They really, really shelled it in as the season went on. That would play to the toughness of the 49ers defense. It would be very bad. If he's willing to have him throw it downfield, Amari Cooper, this is the guy here. When Dak targets Amari Cooper deep, DVOA of plus 147.5. It's one of the best connections. When Dak targets CD Lamb deep, 0.3 DVOA. So it's just like whatever the thing is. And when Dak's throwing deep passes to CD Lamb, 5 of his 7 interceptions have come on deep passes to Lamb, on deep passes. So the key to this game, if they're willing to do it, they've got to make Amari Cooper a big factor in the pass game. You still could get Lamb involved. You pick your spots, you get him, you can do the underneath stuff his way. But it's got to be a Dak and Amari game. And they'll get contributions. They'll get some contributions from Dalton Schultz. They will get some production in the screen game. San Francisco is very good against screens against the running back, so it's not a strength, but they still will need to utilize that. But ultimately, Dak's got to take advantage of that secondary, because that's the weak link. And I said the offensive line can hold up here. Now, Prescott, will face mostly a cover 3 defense. So we'll have a 3-man cross zone with the defensive backs. And Dak's only thrown 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions against the cover 3. But it's the Amari Cooper advantage that they have to utilize here. All right, let me see. Are there any questions about this game before I give you player props and final thoughts on it? Julia says Superman Dak has to. That's their way. So basically, if Dak has one of his big games and they're targeting Cooper deep, I don't think, although all the glowing stuff about a San Francisco offense, they can't keep up with a hot Dak Prescott on the scoreboard. If Dak does not have a Superman game, 49ers probably win this game. I love the plus 3.5 here because I think it's close regardless. Even if Dak plays Superman, I think that's very much in the realm that we're going to get that. All right, so what else do we need here? Any comments? Dallas trailing most of the game. They could. They certainly could. It's all going to be about what Dak does, right? All right, so any other things in this? Oh, I do like the plus 3.5. I like Dak over 282 yards in this game. Now, some 49ers props. The unders, I'm going under on Brandon Ayuk and under on Juwan Jennings because, again, Dallas' strength is the outside and Jimmy Garoppolo's weakest to the outside. The thumb is still an issue. Love Kittle over to 49.5 yards. That may have got bet up a little bit. Love Amari Cooper over to 59 yards. I think those are great. And I think I said earlier, Eli Mitchell. Love those. So, all right, let's get to the Steelers-Chiefs here quickly. Steelers-Chiefs. All right, lines up to 13 now. There's no case I can make where I can definitively give you rationale why the Steelers would win the game. They're two different classes of team. The Steelers are a borderline playoff team. Chiefs are a Super Bowl contender. They have weaknesses. So Steelers. So Shane, you've got Steelers plus 1.5. Maybe, right? Maybe. I'm betting them under 16.5 points. I am betting that. Their way to cover this game, which I think can happen. I do think that they could keep Kansas City down on the scoreboard. I think this game could go 24-14. I could see that. I could also see them blowing it out. I do think the Steelers cover the line. I do think they do. Am I super confident in it? No. But, I think they can. But it's not what I'm saying. They're definitely doing this because there's a lot of ways. The Chiefs blew them out a few weeks ago. Now, hey, teams make adjustments. They come back around. Steelers defense is good. They're not great. They're good. And they have recent film on Mahomes. So there are some things they can do. So I think there's a good chance they cover that. And I tell you what, Vegas wants you to take that. That looks like a value line. They want you to take the 13.5 points. I guarantee you it's going to be 80% money on the Chiefs. Guarantee you. And I could see that totally backfiring. Let's break this game down quickly. So Chiefs have an extra day of rest. That's important. The Steelers did play an emotional game. They thought it was Ben's last game. They had a 9% chance of making the playoffs. So in terms of that, you think they could come out flat. However, they come in loose, and that's important. The Steelers know that they understand. They understand what they're up against, but that helps them. They're not coming in with pressure on them. Nobody expects them to win this game except for them, but that they're loose. So they come into this game, and they have an opportunity. Yeah, I agree with that, Shane. Take the 13. I do agree. I've taken the points myself. All right, so the Steelers side of the ball. They're passing, and here's the problem. It's become more and more compressed over the weeks. Through week 10, I think the Steelers had half of their games where Ben's average pass was 7.5 yards. But unfortunately, that is completely flipped. In the last 3 games, I'm going to paraphrase these. He had a 2.4, like a 4.7, and a 5.5. His legs are gone. The long season and the age, very, very difficult. So they're going to struggle to move the ball in the air. When he throws it downfield, it's like literally just flipping it up there and just hoping it gets out there and he gets an interference call. It's bad. Now, Kansas City against the run, actually run and the pass. In the second half of the year, they've exactly been 11th in DVOA. Exactly. Now, it's not a bad matchup for Najee Harris. He's cleared from the injury. But here's what we're looking at. The offensive line, the run blocking, they're bottom 3, the Steelers. And that's problematic. And since the Chiefs acquired Melvin Ingram from the Steelers at the trade deadline, Chris Jones is back inside where he can be disruptive against the run and the pass. So I can't give you a narrative where the Steelers run hot on offense. I can't do it. Their defense is going to have to do it here for them. They're going to have to keep them in the game, get them a couple field position situations. Najee could have a good game, volume. He can catch the passes. He can get some yards on the ground. They're going to need him to touch the ball 30, 35 times. Well, all right, that might be much, 25 to 30 times, I should say. That's going to slow the game down. They need to shorten the game if they can. But again, they don't have advantages. Now, the Chiefs side of the ball, Steelers, worst team in the league against the run in the second half of the season. So we got to understand that. Will the Chiefs run? Edwards-Helaire out. Darrell Williams has a toe injury. He's not 100%. If they get a lead, Derek Gore, we can see quite a bit of Derek Gore, so that could be good. But I'm a little concerned that they're not going to run and take advantage of it. Steelers are decent against the pass. They're not great, but they're decent. They get a lot of pressure. Still the second best pressure rate in the league, right? So that's a positive thing for them. So, and the Chiefs, though, are top 7 pass blocking line. And so they're going to have to blitz. Pittsburgh isn't like Blitzburgh days of old. And you're right, Shane. They probably won't run. They might. And Andy Reid, it's terrible. They have an advantage and they don't take it. So I do think the Steelers are going to have to go back to the old Blitzburgh style. I know it's a different coaching staff, but they're going to have to go to that. And if they do, then at least, hey, take your chances. Hope Mahomes makes a mistake or two. Get some turnover luck. That'll be it. Because in terms of the passing, Tyreek Hill, he's had a couple of games, but he hasn't had a lot of great production. It's a middling matchup for Travis Kelce. And think about this. Other than the game when Derwin James went out in the late third quarter in that Thursday night game, Kelce was neutered in that game. Kelce has done very, very little. I'm going to look him up for you real quick here. And he has done very little other than when Derwin James went out. Here's his yardage. I'll tell you. Last few games, 34 yards, 25 yards. He had the 191. That was all after Derwin James went out. He had about 20 yards before that. 27 yards and 27 yards. So in 4 of the last 5 games, Travis Kelce has not hit 35 yards. And he's not played world beater defenses. He had the Raiders. He had Cincinnati, Denver. So honestly, this is not a great matchup. Pittsburgh is number 9 against the tight end, turns fantasy points allowed. Not a good matchup for him. And Kelce, you know what? Age has hit him a little bit this year. He's not the same Travis Kelce. And Patrick Mahomes and those option routes, those aren't quite firing the same way. So overall, let me just get to the bottom line of this game. I do like the Steelers team total under 16.5. I do like the points, take the 13 points. Ben Roethlisberger, if you could get the bet where his longest completion is under 33.5 yards, totally like that one. Deontay Johnson, longest reception under 20.5 yards. I would have bet the opposite 4 weeks ago. But remember, I mentioned earlier, Ben's average depth of pass is shrinking by the week. And that changes the math for Deontay Johnson. And the Chiefs overall, they're going to be okay tackling. And they're going to have enough attention. Their outside corners grade very well. Richard Fenton probably spends a lot of time on Deontay. So that's what we probably have there. All right, so let's see what other comments here before we get rolling. The games are going to start, so we got to get going here. Minka, 2 interceptions, 3 pass breaks. He's going to need a monster game. He's graded very low on Pro Football Focus this year. He's like a big play guy, but play to play, not so much. Shane thinks they won't run. He probably won't. Kelce he could, but again, he hasn't lately other than the Derwin James when he was out and the whole middle of the field was open. Let's see. Julia, Kelce game plan. Steelers will shut him down. Tyreek. The problem is teams just aren't letting Tyreek get behind him. And I really don't know, that they have a fix for that. We'll see. They always could. It's Tyreek. Shane, Casey wins if they run. The point spread, yes. If they play this game 20 times, the Steelers might win 1. That's what I'd say. Any team could beat any team on any day. Understand. But I don't think the Steelers win more than 1 out of 20 meetups. They could win. They definitely won. Love the 13 points. Juju, no, he's not in game shape. There's no way he's in game shape, Julia. He hasn't played in over a couple months. There's no way he's in game shape. He hasn't been practicing. He'll be out there. But remember, Ben's throwing the ball like less than 5 yards. So, and middle of the field, Honey Badger's there. L'Jarius Sneed. It's not a good matchup for Juju either. Cameron Brate, first TD. I could see it, Randy. Totally could see it. Cam Brate, he gets used in the red zone. Totally could see that. All right. I think I come back tomorrow in the early evening before the night game. Cardinals, Rams, and break that down for you. Thanks for joining. Enjoy the games. I'm going to start watching them. You are too. Game starting in a couple minutes, I believe. 12:05 probably. 1:05 Eastern. All right. Thanks for joining me. Everybody, good luck with your bets. Good luck with watching the game. Have fun. Have a great day.